Love your music.
Thank you.
That's good.
Welcome. Welcome
Yeah.
to the Love and Action Show with me, Alpa Soni, the spiritual badass. And I'm super excited about today's show, everyone, because we are here to learn more about solfeggio frequencies and how, in today's world of constant imbalances, uncertainty, and chaos, light workers around the globe are being called to action to counterbalance and facilitate the intense energies moving through our time. It's been proven scientifically that science and that sound, which is vibration, can help dis-ease within the body. Sound vibration also assists in removing blockages that later assist in personal transformation and facilitate the fifth dimensional energy that we at a quantum level are experiencing in our third dimensional time and space continuum. In today's show, we'll be focusing on how tuning forks can facilitate not only our personal transformation, but also our planetary transformation by becoming tuning fork healers ourselves. The world is desperately in need of more healers, and we all have that power if we literally tune in. With us today, we have David Hulse from Soma and Energetic Healing, who is here to guide us to what the fork is sound healing. David, welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited about our time together.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much, everybody. Look how blessed I am to have received all of these beautiful tuning forks, and it has really inspired me. And I must thank Mark, actually, Mark Atwood here, for introducing me to David and Soma Energetics, because I get a lot of healing myself from various healers. I've trained as a Reiki healer now myself, and this was the next piece of the puzzle for me to inspire me to like really take my healing to the like as a healer to the next stage. And I've been like traveling for the last 3 weeks, and it's these tuning forks that have been keeping me sane. So, David, tell us about yourself, your journey, and the discovery that birthed Soma and Energetics.
Wow. Again, I want to thank you for having me today on your program and all to all of your listeners. Wow, where does this start? Actually, it started very young in my life that I became very connected to music, but it wasn't just music, it was what was in the music. And and I found that as vibration or sound. And I noticed how it altered my mood, my thoughts, even my body would shift and change at certain uh, music like that. So it was planted very early in my mind to um, to really pay attention to the effect of sound and vibration on our lives. So that was early in life. But actually, where I'd like to begin is actually at the turn of the century. I just felt like it was very important to be alive on the planet at this time, and
Yeah.
I felt like that I was going to experience what I call a fork in the road. That's the name of my
Yes,
book.
this is
um,
great.
yeah,
I'm actually at a really interesting chapter.
yeah.
You've got
Well,
that.
I literally did. I had had many years of speaking and being a minister and teaching for many years, but I felt like something surprising and spontaneous was like being created in my the womb of my soul, that I was about to give birth to something.
Wow.
And I remember being at a very large gathering as we moved into the new century, and I felt I just wanted to get away from all the crowd and all the hustle and bustle. And the only place that I could find was a cloak closet to get away from everybody. And I went in, shut the door, and I just was in the darkness. And it felt like I entered into the womb of consciousness. And in that place, I heard formed in my mind the words deoxyribonucleic acid. Now, I didn't even know how to say that word, but I did know it had to do with DNA. So a seed was planted and an attraction toward uh, DNA. And of course, you know, that part of our brain, call it ego or whatever you want to call it, said, well, who do you think you are? You're not a geneticist, you're not a scientist, but I still remain very attracted to understand the blueprint for humanity. And so it wasn't, a few weeks later that somebody said they felt guided by their guidance to let me know there was a man in California teaching DNA activation work. And I didn't even know you could activate DNA. But to make a long story short, I took the trip and made that intensive workshop. And I started doing DNA activation work based on that. And the thing that was interesting uh, was the fact that he gave us these sounds on a CD, at that time, a CD, that when we did the meditations for the activation, that it was the frequencies that was to alter and rearrange the sequence of DNA.
Absolutely.
So,
That makes sense.
yeah. And so I'm telling that story to say it was from having that experience um, that someone told me about a frequency that biochemists were using to repair DNA, and it was 528 hertz. Now,
Right.
that's become a very famous, well known frequency around the world today. But I thought if I could just get that frequency uh, in a way that I could use it in my workshops, it would be so good. But we didn't have anything in music in the West that was a 528C. So a friend said to me, well, you can have a tuning fork made to any frequency you want. And so by the time that I decided to do that, I had discovered that there was 5 other frequencies also that was a part of this 528 sequence called solfeggio.
Yeah.
So I decided to have all 6 of those frequencies made. And when I got those forks and held them in my hand, I did stand at a fork in the road. I knew that everything was getting to change for me. So that's just kind of a short synopsis to how I got involved with tuning forks, was through that particular avenue of finding that 528 frequency.
Amazing. Amazing. In fact, one of my friends who wanted to practice sound healing on me, and I had no idea it was with the tuning forks, and she actually bought them from Soma Energetics. And I think she started with the DNA forks. So these are these ones here, the silver ones. So if
Yes.
I can just show the audience here, just for the purpose of this. I have a full set of DNA forks, the angel forks, the pineal gland ones. We'll go through them a little bit later in the show. But so were these essentially the ones that you started with, the first ones?
Well, the first ones was the 6 solfeggio, that colored ones there you have there.
Oh, the colored ones. Here we go.
Yes, the
Yeah.
colored are the solfeggio frequencies, and one of those is the 528 frequency. That gold one there that you have is the
Yeah.
528 frequency. So that's the first thing that I actually had, was the 6 frequencies.
Here we
But
go.
I again felt like more to this than just tuning forks, but I had been handed some kind of a vibrational code to unlock multidimensional consciousness.
Right.
Now, where did that come from? It could not have come from me, but it came from a higher aspect of myself, that I'd been handed these frequencies as a code to open up how that humanity can evolve to the next level of what it means to be human.
Absolutely. And actually, that's my next question to
Mhm.
you, is if you can just share with us the basics of how like energy moves throughout our body via the chakra system, and how we can further facilitate healing, like
Yes.
by having awareness of it. So, nicely filling in.
Right, right. Um, Being from a theological background, there's 2 things in the Christian scripture that has always fascinated me. One is in the Old Testament, where it talks about the key, David's keys, the keys of David, the king, and the second was Jesus passing off the keys to the kingdom to Peter. And I always thought, what are these keys? And of course, I thought of a key like you put in a door, but I never thought about a key like a pitch or a frequency, like the key of C, the key of G, the key of whatever. And then I realized, have I been given these specific keys that is like a code? And if you would look at your phone, you would see all those numbers of these frequencies in there, like 396, 471, 528. It's all in the codex of our own technology. It's just that we don't know the combination, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to say that Soma energetics is a little unique from other healing modalities in the fact that, one, we do not call ourselves healers. Now,
Right.
we can use the word spiritual healers and stay safe because they won't touch us if they think we're coming from a more spiritual, religious point of view.
That makes
But
sense.
yeah, so
Yeah.
we say we are spiritual healers, but I like to say that we're facilitating
Yes.
self healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we believe that healing is innately within us and just needs to be activated. But the second thing that Soma energetics is about is coming from a philosophy of not fixing things, but evolving things
Beautiful.
to a different dimension. And
Beautiful.
especially in the climate of today,
Yeah.
I think the answer is let's quit trying to fix it and let's raise our vibratory frequency and evolve to a different dimension. And I think this is going to be the answer for that. So I'm going to call Soma energetics evolutionary healing technique
Yeah.
because it's evolutionary.
Yeah. I love that. I
Mm-hmm.
love that because the Love in Action show, my sort of intention when I started this journey, David, there's a lot of noise out there on the social media platforms, and we get it. There's a lot of information, and it can become all too consuming. And I've taken a real back seat, and I've kind of evolved the Love in Action show to facilitate just things like this, for people to gain more awareness and learn. The Love in Action show is a platform for me personally with the intention for people to learn about things like this.
Yes.
Because in the whole camaraderie and the noise outside with what we're going through, so many people are speaking about it, but now my focus really primarily is on how we evolve. There's a lot of talk about, transforming, transmuting ourselves into the fifth dimension. Well, what is that? And how can we help humanity evolve? How can we spread the knowledge about these techniques that facilitate and assist the 5D ascension process? So all these words that we're hearing now thrown around, let's put it into practice in Love in Action and teach people, and therefore perhaps inspire people to help within their local communities. I didn't mention to you that when we spoke last, but one of my intentions is to use this once I learn the whole course myself personally, and helping in some of the voluntary organizations that I help in, for people who are going through difficulties in various facets of their life. And I thought this was brilliant. And I'm speaking to the organizations to see if I could have, once I learn myself, the full course. So this is really, what we want to be doing. So thank you.
Well, wow, you're speaking my language. I love
I
it.
know.
I love it. If you would allow me, this is very short, but I'd like to just
Please do.
read something out of my book that
Yep.
so speaks to me, and I hope it'll speak to your listeners. And this is a quote from Alice Bailey. Alice Bailey is known as one of the early pioneers of theosophy and metaphysics, and one of her last exhortations that she gave, I'd like to share with you in the audience. Alice Bailey says the response of the human mechanism to the world of sound will cause development that will usher in a new age. And by the way, this is where New Age was coined, right here in this from her. It will be an age in which the work of the world will be carried forward through the medium of sound, and eventually using words of power and the efforts of trained sound workers. Now, I want you to hear this last part, very important. The workers understanding the nature of matter, and I think that's the quantum level now. So it had to be at a time in which people understood the nature of matter. And the comprehending the purpose of sound will bring about the structural changes and those material transformations which will establish a civilization of a new race.
Beautiful.
That is powerful to me.
It's very powerful. It's very powerful because we are transforming and we're going through so much change right now. People are saying we're on the precipice of change. Big think the shift's happening. I think it's been happening for the last 18 months. Should we have the eyes to perceive it? That actually what's going on is for the greater good. In the Bhagavad Gita, we talk about what is happening for the good. This is an opportune time for all of us, like never before, to really transform ourselves internally first, of course, and essentially then help our brothers and sisters. Wow, I love that. Very powerful.
Well, I believe that the evolutionary step that we're about to take is going to be as dramatic as the evolutionary idea of Homo sapien. I mean, erectus to Homo sapien.
Yeah.
And as we move to what I call Homo luminous, light beings, that this is going to be as traumatic and powerful. But before there is a transformation, there has to be the breakdown of old patterns.
Yes.
And that's why crises precedes transformation.
Crisis is a blessing, essentially.
And I believe that you, your listeners, and everyone that's in tune to this idea of stepping up as a light worker are fulfilling contracts that they have made previously to what I'm saying for a critical mass of people, the last incarnation in third dimension.
Yeah.
And this is why our lives have been so intense and a little bizarre than most people's lives and our family and friends, is because we're fulfilling all these contracts in this lifetime so that we can be initiates to enter the level of consciousness to stabilize the new norms of fifth dimension that is breaking through our third dimensional world. Now, the only reason that something is breaking down is because something is breaking through.
I love that.
And when I started this work 20 years ago in meditation, I was asked, do you want to work with what's breaking through, or do you want to try to fix what's breaking down? I did not know what that meant exactly, but out of some new intelligence other than my brain, I said, I want to work with what's breaking through. And I believe what's breaking through is fifth dimension is breaking through to our third dimension. And I think that the tuning forks are so powerful. Let me give you some reasons why. Because they're pure vibration. Now, if you take vibration in the form of talking and music, there's some emotion that is attached to that. I hear a song and I feel good or I feel bad, or, I think about who I was breaking up with or who I was falling in love, and all that emotional body stuff is there. But a tuning fork goes nowhere.
No.
It's just raw vibration. You don't have to plug it into the grid, so you can use it. Even if the grid goes down, you just have tuning forks will travel. You just put them and go where you need to go with them. And that attracted me to this very ancient, I think it was back in Atlantis that people were using tuning forks and pure vibration to scan people. It's like a cellular memory with me. And I don't think this is new, but I think the Ankh of Egypt, I think many indigenous people have understood the power of
100%.
pure raw vibration.
And myself, coming from the Sanatha Dharma, from the Vedic background, we use bells as frequencies before we enter the temples. And there is a scientific reason, and spiritual as well as scientific reason, that this is being done. It's evoking frequency within the energetic field of the temple, and you can really feel it. So when you sort of hit the bell, so whenever we start our prayers, we always have a metal bell. So it's it's a bit like the angel fork. So I just want everyone to see this. The other day when I was going through a few difficulties, it reminded me of so it might be a bit loud, everyone. So sorry if I deafen you.
They're high. They're high pitch.
So this to me sounded like when I enter into a temple. So this is brilliant, if you're feeling a bit negative, or you feel you may have some attachments, or, whatever you're calling into your, guardians of the highest realm. When you enter in a temple, the bell has a similar frequency. So it's really, really powerful. And I just wanted to add something about what you said just earlier about the soul contracts that we've all come here as light workers for. I've noticed in the last few weeks, especially during Mercury retrograde, that people who are fighting this battle globally are feeling quite flat, and they're going through various sort of waves and tides with their emotional states, their mind, etc. Some people are giving up, people are fed up, and that's natural, and they should sort of ride those waves. And when we truly understand, which I reinforce on every show, that we signed up for this, we signed up to be the different one within our families, we signed up to have that courage right now to speak up and to actually help humanity, move to that next level. So when we change our perception of how we are viewing things, it's a very powerful, transformative process that we signed up for this. How empowering is that? That, my soul signed up to all of these difficulties, and people say, Alpa, yes, but this is really difficult. This is really, really hard. I didn't bring this upon myself. When we actually accept and take responsibility for everything and look at crisis, like you powerfully said, David, that essentially turns into our blessing in the future, in the here and now. It's powerful.
Amen to that. Yes. I like to come from experience these days, because I've been around enough to have some experiences.
Yeah.
But one of the experiences that I had was searching for sort of a subtle, innate anger that I had somewhere in the tapestry of my soul, I guess. And I looked for it in past lives, but I didn't find it in past life. I found it in an in-between life. And it was the life before I came here. And I won't go into the whole thing, but the bottom line was, I was asked by these entities that was reviewing and preparing me for this lifetime, would I choose to live what would be equal to 4 lifetimes in this one to reach the level of consciousness to stabilize the new norm? Because we on a free will planet have not chosen to get collectively to the level to do that. So there are people listening to us that's either going to witness to this, what I'm saying, but this is why your life has not been so grounded in third dimensional model of what it means to be alive. I know I've moved a lot. I've changed a lot. I've been married. I've been unmarried. I've been this. I've been here. I've never settled in third dimension. It's always become a little foreign to me, and I felt different from it. But because I've already moved my citizenship from third to fifth dimension before I came, that I've come in with a fifth dimensional connection to that life. And I'm so excited to realize, at one time I thought I was the only one. Now I'm seeing that it's coming to fruition, that enough people are waking up to this idea. Now, let me say to you, I see third dimension, fourth dimension a little differently, but I go with the Einsteinian idea of 3 dimensions of space, 4 dimension time. However you see it, it doesn't matter. We know we live in a third dimensional world right now. And the systems of third dimension are breaking down because they're supposed to. It is no different than that little caterpillar that has been crawling around on that leaf, nibbling all its life, just suddenly stops and feels something's changing inside of it. And that caterpillar then goes into the crises of disorganize its molecular structure, because only then it becomes a candidate to restructure itself into the next level of what is to become. And I think that's the greatest, I know it's overused almost, but it's the greatest example we have that we're going through not just a change, but a transformation. And we are, as that caterpillar does, we're going through that metamorphosis to the next. Vibration and tuning forks can help you make that better and easier if you tune to this process. If you don't, then you're going to find it harder and harder. Again, I don't understand why everybody wants to fix all the systems that are breaking down. We don't need to fix the political system. We don't need to fix the religious system. We don't need education fixed. We need a new model. And I think the blueprint is in the activation of that part of ourselves that holds the key and code to fifth dimension. Hope that makes some sense to you. But the tuning forks opens that up. You know, if I have, we all have what, 100,000 sometimes channels on our TVs. But if I don't know what three buttons or letters to push, I don't tune into that.
Yeah,
And the solfeggio are the frequencies that connects you in to fifth dimension in my feeling. So
absolutely.
think about third dimension, fourth dimension, and look at solfeggio as the curve of matter, finding the torsion spin and spiral to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 free dimension. So the solfeggio is the way in which time space bends, which is what Einstein said due to the density of mass, it will curve. And we're living the curve. We're living in a time in which we're finding a path that's not linear, but a path that is vertical. It's already there
Absolutely.
for us. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually sought the help of these two. I'm just going to show them again. So my audience don't know yet that I've been traveling, but there will be a show prior to this that will be premiered as well, or hopefully go live if I'm successful. So while I've been traveling, I've been having some, obstacles that have been challenging and thrown my way. And I'll go more into that in my own show. But traveling with all these forks, because we were supposed to do this show a few weeks ago, and for whatever reason the universe was not letting that happen, and this was the right time. I'm a big believer in what's meant to
Yes.
happen will happen at the right time, and energetically I always feel a pull of, now I can't do that, and we have to be congruent with what we are tuning into. I think that's really, really important. When we force things, the energy feels very intense. So I used it as an opportunity to really kind of ground myself, because the travel sort of disturbances was causing me a lot of anxiety. So it was the Om ones.
Yes.
And I was placing it on my heart. And I'm not sure if I was doing it correctly, but obviously I have this here. And as I was pressing it, and I was pressing it at the sort of crown and my heart, and the vibrations, folks, I kid you not, guys, it alleviated my anxiety like never before.
Perfect.
These two were so powerful. And maybe because, for my audience who know me well, I always have Om, a heart, and my prayer emojis on everything when I signed out. It's everything about love in action is, and Alpa Soni is namaste, love, and the Om. So maybe this is why this had such a profound effect on me, but it's the vibration that was almost speaking to my soul. So can explain what's happening to me there? Like, what was going on just in my own situation?
Yeah. Well, I definitely think because of your background and your culture that you had something there to resonate already with the forks. But I do think the Ohm tuner is one of the more important forks that we have offered people for the purpose that we need grounding right now. What are we going to ground to? With these systems that are changing and breaking down, there is no center. We have to find a new center, and that means we have to take the responsibility of finding that center. And the Om kind of does that because it's called the primordial sound. It is the first sound of disrupted silence. People do not understand the most purest sound in the universe is silence.
Yes.
But when you put vibration to silence and cause it to vibrate, it gives us a sound. And the first of that sound is the primordial sound, which is sort of the center. The center of vibration and sound is in the Om. We definitely use it for grounding. Clients, it's one of the first things we do before and after a session with any client is to use the Om. Uh, I'm a I'm a leader of a spiritual center here in Charlotte, and we Om in the service. We do the Tibetan bowls, we do the bells, we do the
Love it.
wake up bell, we do all of that because we want to meet in the vibration. If we meet in the vibration, there is no particular belief system there. There's nothing to separate us if we start and come back to vibration. So, yes, I think the fact that you use this Om tuner brought you back to core, to center, And you were using it right to use it on the crown and the heart, because that aligns the sushumna, which is the neutral energy channel that helps us to find our center within us.
Yes. And the interesting fact was that I hadn't read the material about what these forks do. So I'm very intuitively led. And at that specific time, it was insane, David. Like I knew to use this on, and there's two, if you can see everybody, they're slightly different. One's got the, sort of these little tabs coming out. Look, it's still vibrating. One's different here. So when you listen to it, look, in your this ear area, it's powerful. So when you've got it like this and you're placing like this, it's amazing. And I didn't know that that's what you're supposed to do. Have it by your ears, but it immediately like transformed my mood and shifted it very powerfully. So we're intuitively all capable. I didn't have to read the manual to understand what exactly I needed to do. It was intuitively led.
Correct.
So yeah, these are powerful.
Yeah. And those you don't need training for. You just use them any way that you want. I use mine every morning on my thyroid. I use it on my thymus. I use it in my sinus areas, because that activates my innate ability for my body to create an optimum level with these different organs. I use it on my hands if I have a little arthritis or something like that. So there's so many multi-uses for the Ohm tuner.
Yeah.
When
you say using it on your hands, so just for the audience, so like you're here and you're just vibrating the sound.
The bottom. I use the bottom so I feel the vibration.
Right.
In other words, I hit the fork and then I put it on there and I feel the vibration.
Like that.
There you go. And I put it in the joints, different places on my hand, wherever, my wrist. You can put it anywhere you want to.
My brain.
Third eye is amazing. Yeah, because this is going to vibrate back to the pineal gland.
Yeah.
Which right now is very important in how, if I could describe, fifth dimensional energy.
This is great for that. The pineal gland one.
Oh yeah. The fifth dimension is bringing in a new photon data system of instruction for us. Got that? A photon is the smallest unit of light. Light is data. But you see, the wisdom is that the data from fifth dimension is not going to come to the brain, because the brain's going to analyze it, see if it belongs to a belief system already perceived. So what it's doing that's so clever is it's coming through the heart. This is why you have to open your heart chakra. Very, very important. The heart chakra is now the portal for fifth dimension energy to come in through the heart, shoot up to the pineal gland in the brain, which has the ability to change that data into a chemical so that the brain can get that thought or idea or clarity without losing in the interpretation. When that happens, you have really what's called a cosmic, what's that a word I want? A cosmic epiphany.
Yeah.
That's when you start having thoughts. I'd have never thought that. Where did that come from?
Right?
It's download. It's all about the download right now. But you don't want to start it with the brain, because the brain will change it to fit the belief system. So you've got to bypass that by coming through the heart, using the pineal gland, which is probably the most spiritual little organ in the human brain, is the pineal gland, with its ability to change this information so it does not make it less than what it is. Now, this is going to bring us new guidance, clarity, and how that we can walk through this time of breakdown and come out the other side as a beautiful light being.
Absolutely. And guys, did you hear that? Like divinely said, David. I am so heart-led. I sometimes used to be quite insecure before I came on this whole public platform. I was like, oh crap, I'm not very well read when it comes to all these spiritual books and reading so many things from various gurus. Everything's intuitively led for me, and subsequently from the heart. I like how you've put that back, as how we are connecting ourselves, to the pineal gland. And it's just these simple things that we take for granted, that we essentially have the power. We've been so disempowered as humanity. Everything has been outsourced with the old system. We've been outsourcing our thinking, outsourcing our feeling. And it's almost this robotic way of being. And I found that very difficult. And I've had to even sort of take a back seat from this whole, what everyone's calling the truther community. I, as my audience know, prefer to call it the truth-seeking community. We're seekers. We're seekers of truth, our own truth. Who are we in our self-actualized state? Where are we growing? How are we continuously growing towards what our soul was meant to do on this planet, on this journey? So it's about internalizing ourself and our self-love and growing ourselves. So I really appreciate what you said there about, coming from the heart. And this is what I really felt drawn to Soma Energetics, because Mark has a whole load of different things that he talks about on his show. And I actually messaged him, said, I want this. I want to learn about this for myself. And then when I spoke to Tim, I mean, I'm just so grateful for this. This has changed so many small things for me personally. Number one being anxiety, because I want to help. Yeah, doing my bit. I know that I've got a contract here as much as I'm like, oh crap. I have to do a show. I have to go public again. It used to be like the heebie-jeebies. And I'm like, now I'm embracing it with a level of certainty and a trust in the divine.
Right.
And a trust. That's simple, right, David? It really is.
It absolutely. If I could just talk a little bit about, I'm very interested in seeing if there's anyone resonating to the idea of becoming a trainer. I like what Robert Frost said. It's a great quote. It says, "We are not just teachers, we're awakeners."
Absolutely.
And there is so much potential to be awakened. 3% of genetic material is all that is used. Probably that much of consciousness is being used. Most of us is just pure potential waiting to be activated. And I believe the tuning forks activates that innate part of ourselves that we're not even aware of, that we have forgotten who we are, and help us to remember. So the whole idea is about awakening. Everybody talks about the American dream. I think we should talk about the American awakening.
Yes.
We've been in a dream long enough, or an illusion, Maya, and we need to wake up out of the dream. And every time my intent with two tuning forks, when I hit two tuning forks, and cause that electrical magnetic charge, I'm saying at some level, wake up, wake up. Wake up the innate intelligence. Wake up that innate ability to heal. Wake up that innate ability to remember what we have forgotten that we once knew when we were in the mind of Source, that we have forgotten in the density of a third dimension world. Our blood is nothing but congealed light. And I believe that once we activate ourselves to the fifth dimension, that the blood in our veins will become the light that will make the light body that we will inhabit within ourselves. What does that mean? That means we'll be not limited anymore to one or so dimension, but we will access to multidimensional existence of ourself. I believe, for what it's worth, Alpa, that there is a me that is at every dimension, every universe. There's a me. There's a me that's already healed. There's a me that's prosperous. There's a me that is whole. There's a me that is peaceful. I don't have to get it because I lack it. I need to find a vibrational match to what already has been given to me as my inheritance as a created being.
Wow.
I could go on and on about that stuff.
No, please expound on that, because we always talk in the sum of parts. Yeah, a part of me feels like this, but we are whole beings. We just have to discover that, and the vibrational frequency that matches that for us to be in that equilibrium within self. Because we're at polarities half the time, and a part of me feels like this, a part of me feels like that. Everything again goes to, we have it within, and
it's all within.
that is there, and it's just powerfully
Mhm.
put. Please, yeah, expand.
So I teach we're created whole. If you believe in an intelligence of any kind, call it what you will, that is whole, then we are the extension and expression of that wholeness. Therefore, we are whole.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's one thing in Soma Energetics we teach our practitioners and teachers is we teach do not come from what is broken, but come from the wholeness of the person. So if you take all of these, what we call subtle energy bodies, and most people start with the body and go out to the point we say, my body has an aura. In Soma Energetics, we say our aura has a body. So we don't go from this way. We come in because we believe that at the most highest frequency, spinning off the crown chakra, is the etheric body that holds the perfect blueprint of our creation.
Oh, I've got
And,
good goosebumps.
and that is trying to translate through the causal, the astral, the mental, the emotional, and coalesce into an etheric blueprint that drives cellular development.
Wow.
So we have a whole different philosophy from a lot of people who believe I'm broken, I need to be fixed, I lack, I need to get it. We are trying to reactivate that which has been whole and complete. So I teach every client, every practitioner, the healing of your client begins with the healing of your mind. Heal
Yeah.
your mind first. And know
First.
that you are not what you're seeing with your five senses is not a broken person, but a whole person. And then use your tuning forks to start open up vibrational portals and pathways between all those energy bodies so that that message of wholeness can get all the way to the etheric and start driving cellular development. When that happens, we will get a new body that is a fifth dimensional light body.
Right. Absolutely. And I want to attest to that because before I go on my healing others journey, it's so important to feel empowered and healed yourself. And healing is a continuous process. It's growth all the time on legs, constantly. We're constantly learning, growing. And the forks have actually triggered and brought things up for me to my attention that need to be addressed or need to be healed, as it were, within my own mind and my thinking. And these epiphany moments or downloads, as you mentioned earlier on, are more rife. They are there. And it's like, oh, it happened yesterday when I was in the car and I keep the crystal fork with me. It's a small one.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was driving to Ventura here in LA. And I was talking about something that was many, many years ago, like is the subject that I was speaking to my friend about. And suddenly I said, I just need the fork. Because I started downloading information, but it was fuzzy and there wasn't clarity there. So I wasn't making sense of what these vibrations, these frequencies, what they're meaning. So anyway, I got that fork out and I did that. And suddenly I felt a sense of clarity and something that didn't make sense to me. It's 16 years ago. And it was like, oh, I get it now.
Love it. Love it.
Right?
Gotcha.
Can
I
you
hear you.
see? Now, I just wanted to sort of explain that to the audience a little bit clearer of what that meant for me. So how was it before when I would get these downloads? Or when I'm coming onto a show or like, when I want to explain something, it would feel fuzzy. Yeah. Because I'm battling a few sort of other health conditions, etc. But as I'm really empowering myself to heal on all levels, mind, body, and soul, things are becoming so much crisper and clearer. And I have to say that this is really assisting me. So it was like, and it almost felt like a tab closed in my energetic field. And I felt like a release. It was very powerful, David. And this happened yesterday.
Yeah, it reminds me of the fact, let's say that we're doing this podcast and talking and something's not quite there and it's fuzzy.
Yeah.
And then you tune in. Well, that's what the frequencies of the tuning forks are doing. Downloads are trying to come to a lot of people, but it's fuzzy to them. They're not getting it into their consciousness. and the forks will help to tune people in to the downloads that are coming. So you've got people out there. There's no doubt there's people everywhere, but you've got people listening right now who's feeling a change. Something's going on. I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to move, but I don't know where it is. I've outgrown a relationship, but I don't know how to do it. Using the tuning forks will give that clarity for that download that is coming in to be made, to focus itself into a clarity of that epiphany, that you will have that knowing exactly what to do.
Absolutely. And I have many people writing in to me saying, Alpa, I want to become a healer, or I want to learn more about what does 5D mean. Like I say, I'm not guru nor expert on this. I'm very divinely and intuitively led. Something that I don't think I can teach, but I can practice and learn this. With what I'm like, I continuously want to evolve and develop my intuitive skills, or my abilities, should I say, that we are all naturally gifted with. And because we've been so desensitized and disempowered at every level, we forget. And again, we go into that old programming and start outsourcing and going to the consciousness, which is usually of lack, uncertainty, and the low vibrational frequencies. So it's almost like getting a spring in your step when you listen to great music. Yeah. And then you have, so like, again, you feel there's a little bit of a negativity around you. If you can, I'm not going to do it too close to the mic. Somebody said it deafened them. So I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear that? You know, and it's a shift almost immediately. But these things come into your sort of downloads, and it's to clear that fuzz. And that's what I think this has done for me. So in the case of yesterday, it just went, oh, it just like a little ping, and it made sense. So I hope people can see the value in this. And once you heal yourself, people have been messaging me saying, I'd like to, further my Reiki by adding something else, like doing sound healing. And I've suggested, this is a brilliant way. My friend, she goes, oh, I'm going to do the sound, a tuning forks. I said, oh, I'm going to be speaking about this on the show. So there's so much scope and power with these forks.
If it be all right, I'll just quickly go through the trainings real quick.
That's my next question. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So phase 1 was built upon an experience I had as a child. I was in a family that drugged me around to healers, like tent revival healers, the old tent revival. And I noticed some people got healed and others didn't. And that, I thought, why? If there's somebody out there that loves us all, why wouldn't we all get the same thing? And so that continued for decades. And then when I went into metaphysics and people were trying to manifest prosperity, a soulmate, whatever, some did, some didn't. So I saw this pattern that was going on. The bottom line that I came to understand is people only manifest in their life with what level of energy they're connected to beyond survival.
Oh, wow.
Now,
yes.
So let's say you just all of a sudden got so excited. You said, I just want to support Soul Energetics, and I'm going to write a $10 million check by faith. Well, unless a miracle really would happen, that check's not going to go through. It's insufficient fund because you didn't have the energy to back it up in the bank. So the first thing that phase does is it activates our energy field at the coccyx to universal energy field. Then we bring universal energy field into the third energy anatomy body and give it to the chakra system. And we learn exactly from the chakra how much of that energy each one needs to fulfill and activate it to its optimum level. So this is a powerful technique of creating people to have the energy to change, to manifest whatever it is they want to do in their life. The second one is built on that, but it brings in the body tuners, which has to do now with adding acupressure, acupuncture, situations like that, scanning to find blockages in the energy body and that type of thing. Phase 3 is DNA, RNA, pineal gland. And that is a way in which we can go back, find out how many generations of ancestry we can unwind in us that's affecting our lives. So I'm just giving you a very simple idea of these phases that people can take and learn. I will step out on a limb to say this. Anyone that brings solfeggio frequencies into their world, into their life, will experience a change. And
100%.
I'm not saying that to sell these books. I'm saying it from the experience of 21 years of watching how people's life changes and comes into some kind of an alignment with their soul purpose for why they incarnated at this time.
I can attest to that, especially with what I've gone through, as you know, over the last 3 weeks. How do you have any like stories that really stand out in your memory where the forks have changed people's lives from some crazy situations in the like recent times?
Well, there's a lot on our website of people that has written testimonies and experiences that are quite amazing. I think again, it comes back to the idea that people got more clear about the path they need to take toward the next level of this. I call it bioconscious evolution that we are basically into. So people get uh, things solved, questions they've had about themselves that they don't understand. Why am I this way? That could be answered because it's not yours, it's ancestral. That can change that.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Also, the chakras carry our stories of conception to 6 years old in the tribe, relationships with others in the sacral, self-power in the solar plex, and that energy comes in and starts rearranging that story to align to the story for why we're here, not the one that we experienced.
Right.
So this is the things that I hear about from people. I do hear of people getting physical manifestations of healing, but mostly it's some kind of a change in them that is very much a clarity of direction of life in them.
Yeah.
But the more these tuning forks I get to people's hands to work on people, we will reach the critical mass. Now, the
Yes.
Bible calls that the 144,000. I don't know if you've
Yes.
heard that number.
Yeah. I
Now,
was in that section last night and I wanted to ask you a question, but go ahead.
yeah, because a lot of people think it's 144,000 bodies. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But what it is a vibration. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 4 is a 9.
9. Yeah.
9 is completion. I said, what is the completion? And it said, completion of all incarnations in the third dimension is over. No more coming back into time, space, third dimension.
Yeah. I read that last night. Everyone, I implore you to literally get this course. This is amazing. So I had it open. This is so powerful. It's giving me goosebumps because I
It's
want
a
it that much.
lot. It's a lot.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so the 144 is a number that I see every single day. I send emails at that time, my receipts are that time, and it's just like these synchronicities that are happening. But you know, there's so many different various explanations. This, where you talk about in Pythagorean method, means completion. So much made sense here because the 1449, that you know, I thought, wow, I've always said that I feel this is my last life. I feel I have journeyed so much. And I feel that a lot of these epiphanies or downloads that I'm getting are simply because I have things that I need to learn in this lifetime. However, there's this sort of voice that says, this is your last life. This is it for you, right? This is great. You go into it, as we call in the in Sanskrit, moksha, mukti. Yeah, eternal mukti and the liberation of the soul. And so I was reading this last night, and also with what you're saying, I just want to draw everyone's attention to this book. So I'm on the chapter about the causes of aches and pains. For me, having battled with what the doctors say that I have, not that I kind of ascribe to it, I don't own any of my dis-ease. I'm trying to get to the root cause of it, and it's powerful transformation for me. You know, and I'm going through my waves. It's the causes of aches and pains in the body. So I must read. This is a brilliant book. So I implore everyone to buy this if you're just inquisitive and want to know. And, you know, how we manifest blockages in our own body through trauma and through our experiences, how they are being embedded and lodged into our energetic field without us knowing. And how the forks have really shifted things when we realize what these energy blockages in our body mean, the dis-ease, what is causing those knee pains, what is causing all those joint pains in our body. Where in our life are we being inflexible, or what is causing this resistance? Is very powerful.
Very powerful. Two things comes to mind in listening to you that I'd like to just share for contemplation is the fact that the body is a feedback system. So it tells us where we are in the story of our evolution. And right now, with all of the different symptoms that are showing up, is showing us of what we've not taken care of that has been suppressed in the unconscious, subconscious part of ourselves. It's our karmic story a little bit, and it's trying to show us how much we need to do the work. Nobody wants to do the work. People want magic. Tuning forks are not magic. You cannot do a tuning fork and magic, it's all done. It's about the process. And that's the thing that's been left out of most all teachings, including the Christian idea of the process. So the second thing I feel to bring to you that has been given to me as a download is that those who are stepping up to take this position as a light worker in the 9 vibration of completion are doing a lot of intercessory work. Intercessory means that we're taking on some of the pain out of the collective consciousness into ourself to dissolve it and to raise the vibration of it. So a lot of this stuff is not so much us, but it is something that we have chosen to take into ourselves. I don't know if that makes sense. That's something just has to resonate with people or not. But
Yeah.
sometimes if I get a symptom and my tests come out good, the doctor says everything's good, I'm suspicious. Is that mine, or am I being what's the word when you feel people's pain and stuff like that? I can't think of it right now.
When you're being
empath. Yeah.
I,
So right now we're very open. We've opened the heart chakra. We've opened up vibrations, opened us up. And now we're sensitive to everything that is going on in the collective consciousness. And we're going to take that into ourselves, and we're going to raise the vibratory frequency of it and remove it at the root cause. When it's moved out of you at the root cause, then it reverberates in the collective consciousness and starts diminishing the symptom that is a frequency match to everybody else.
Yes. And this is why it's so important, folks, to keep your vibe high. You know, I'm going to start making t-shirts that just reminds us and affirm on a daily basis. Authenticity is your superpower, and vibe high, literally, because it's so important. And I like that you mentioned this about, you know, us questioning, is this mine, or am I actually absorbing something from the collective? And then we can neutralize the charge that it has on us. And it's very powerful. We have the ability to do that. Yeah. As an empath myself, I absorb a lot of people's energies, and I didn't realize I was doing that. So that's when I started realizing that fibromyalgia, is it mine, or is it other people's pain that I'm carrying around me? So I can feel things. I literally tune in, right, to people and their pain. And I didn't realize it was a gift growing up. So I would carry the weight of the world on my shoulders. And guess what, folks? I had incredible pain on my shoulders. As I started releasing that and understanding that actually this is not mine. Yeah. But it's coming to that point from ourself. And when that time is right, it will come. And if we're here And if we are here as light workers to assist humanity to evolve into this new dimension, into the fifth dimension, and to this new state of consciousness, hey, let's all hold hands in unity consciousness and make that happen. Because we have that ability. You know, it's crazy out there. It's bonkers. And I let that let that affect me. But you just have to sort of recalibrate and center ourselves and ground. Grounding is very, very important.
It is. And it's this old saying of being in a world that is falling apart and crumbling at the systems, but not being of it. Being in the world, but not of the world. We are here strategically placed between these two worlds. I have two basic emotions in me these days. I feel sad, I feel lost, and then another day I'm feeling happy and excited. And I realize that I'm experiencing simultaneously the death and the birth of two worlds.
Wow. Yes.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
feeling, because even the third dimensional world with all of its stuff and pain, I'm familiar with it. So it's a loss. And I'm not sure
It's like a
exactly.
grieving. It's like
It's
a
a grieving a death. I'm grieving a death. But at the same time, I'm excited about what's breaking through, at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I that's exactly, especially this last week, that is
It's
exactly
intensified.
it. You've nailed it. You've nailed it. And all the sort of light worker friends that I've made on this journey have been sharing their experiences of similar feelings. And I think this sort of brings light to that feeling, because it's caused a bit of confusion and uncertainty. And of course, we're going through these precarious times. We know that 18 months of it, great. We're sort of saying the same thing, repeating ourselves. We're all going to go inside. We all know this now, but there's certain sort of nuggets of wisdom that gives us those epiphany moments and think, aha. And that's what it's about. Be gentle on yourself, folks. Everything's going through these transitions. We have to really fully allow and observe how we are feeling rather than judging. And that's what I find is transformative and very, very powerful. And if we can, impart on this wisdom with our brothers and sisters, hey, why not? And on a final note, so I just want to encourage everyone to go on the website on Soma Energetics. All the details will be on my description and my link. But this is a training manual and a safe self-study. And I implore everyone to visit this and have a look and, see if there's something that, you want to do for self first. As David said, it's really, really important for us to heal the mind, body, and soul ourselves. Because if we're going to go pour from an empty cup, which is what I used to do. I used to think I could save the world as a young child. It's that empathic nature. But then guess what happens? We become depleted. So we need to learn how to self-empower ourselves. So is there anything that you wanted to sort of add about this, David? Because, I'm really enjoying the study at my own pace at the moment.
Those manuals are 60-page manuals. There's so much you can learn from those. It's amazing. Two things real quickly before we end is that I want to say is we have what's called a personal packet that's for people who just want to experience. It's got an ohm tuner. It's got crystal in it. It's got everything that you need just for you to work on you and experience that.
This one?
Yeah, it's got the ohm tuner. It's got the, I believe, pineal gland. I thought we sent it to you, but it's in a box of different things.
Yeah, no, you've sent me all of them. So,
but that's where I would suggest if people's like, I don't know which way and what to do, start with that personal pack. That'll give you your own tuner, and you can start right there. And you don't have to have a class for that, but you'll have everything that you need. Second thing I've got to say here, I was told by Tim to do this for Australia and New Zealand. Australia, your post has suspended service of first-class priority mail from the U.S. When suspension is lifted, the more economical shipping options will be available. In the meantime, we recommend DHL. They have their own plane. So this is a problem we're having with right now. The system is so broken down that we're having trouble with mail. But if you will go with DHL, you'll get it. If not, it could be sitting in Miami or Chicago or somewhere for weeks and months. And that's not our fault, but it's just the system is broken down. So we would encourage people, if you're going to order, go with DHL. It's a little more, but if you really want to get your product, you can get it much easier that way. So thank you for letting me say that, because
Yeah.
a lot of people think it's us and we're holding back, orders.
Yeah, no, that's great, and all the information will be in the description box. If there's anything that I need to know as well, I'll put it on. But what a wonderful discussion. I am so grateful, really truly am. I said that at the start. Gratitude gets us everywhere, because if we don't understand or understand what's going on within our own self, within our own frequency, within our own vibration, we are in this state of confusion and lack of clarity. And it's conversations like this on the Love and Action show that I think will really help assist this raising the consciousness for humanity. So David, I am humbled, first of all, and grateful, and it's been an honor to have you on my show. So thank you very much. And yes, I actually implore people to take a look at the website and learn more about how to tune into yourself.
Please do.
If you want to heal. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. You're wonderful. You are so wonderful. Twice you've mentioned 18 months. Remember, that's a 9.
Yes.
And I feel to tell you that you're at the end of a certain cycle, and you're getting ready to spiral into something you've never imagined that's getting ready to happen with your life. I want to leave you with that.
I honestly feel that, and I have been taking a back seat deliberately or just divinely led, because when I shared an email with Tim earlier on, I was not going to even think of speaking about what we're going through, because I've really detached from what's the circus of what's going on in the world. Not because I'm not paying attention, not because I've lost the fight.
Right.
Nothing now is like sort of shifting and elevating for me, and I want to stay congruent with that. So with that said, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you've watched right till the end, I'm really grateful. Until next time, lots of love. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.